Happy weekend, City First Church. I want to welcome everybody that's watching online. We got to say hello to all of our friends and Kate. And come on, can we please make some noise for our God Behind Bars locations? We love you guys. We are starting a brand new life group series called Weird. And if you, listen, if it's your first time, we're so glad you're here. And I know what your friend or your brother or your family member told you. They've been inviting you to church for 6 months to a year. And they said, don't worry, my church isn't weird. Now, here's the deal. For the next few weeks, we're going to talk about this idea of weird because normal isn't working. Now, here is why I'm excited to talk about this subject, because I'm here to admit to you, I'm weird. Okay? Like, I'm not afraid to say it. I have some weird things that are going on in my life that, like, if you knew them about me, you'd be like, man, that's kind of weird. Like, for example, I have an addiction to small vacuums. Okay? Like, I don't know why, but, like, the big ones, like, I'm like, man, I ain't got time to plug it in and wrap the cord. Like, I love just being able to, like, to zoom in my car really fast if I need to. Like, I like small vacuums, and it drives my wife crazy. Sorry, you're stuck with me. Okay? So, another thing that I'm obsessed with is I wash my car every day. Now, here's the deal. I've got an annual membership at this place, and like I know everybody there by name. It's like a part of my day. And they're like, why are you here all the time? I'm like, you're the one who sold me the annual membership, dude. Like, and people told me, like, dude, when you get a kid, your car is always gonna be dirty. Your car gonna be dirty. My car is not gonna be dirty. I know it's weird. Another thing that's weird about me is when me and my wife have people over to the house, we like to ask people, hey, what do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? And whenever you play that game, you open yourself up to a smorgasbord of options. I want pizza and I want Mexican. They throw out all these options. Well, I know it's a little weird, but I go to all the restaurants and get everybody what they want. Now, why? That way, if I hear anybody complain, I'm like, I got you exactly what you asked for. Now, it takes a little bit longer. I know it's a little bit weird, but it just is what it is. The other thing that I do that's a little bit weird is I compete at a very, very high level athletically with my son. He's 3. Now, he likes to race, and I say, all right, then let's do this thing. And I'm like yelling in his face. My wife's like, Ryan, he's 3. I'm like, he's got to learn one way or another. I know it's weird, but here's why I'm not afraid to tell you that I'm weird. You're weird, okay? And you might not be able to admit it, but I guarantee you there is a meal that you're gonna eat this week that if you made public, we would all throw up right now, okay? Like, you mix foods together that don't belong together, condiments on things that don't belong together. I was eating watermelon the other day, and some dude said, man, you need to throw some salt on that. I was like, weird, okay? I heard that, okay? It's like, why would I do that? He's like throwing salt and pepper and hot sauce on his watermelon. That does not go together. It's weird, okay? You know what else that you do that's really, really weird? You talk to other cars. They can't hear you. That's weird, okay? Like, even if you honk your horn and then you yell out that they can't hear you, okay? But yet you're talking to them. You know what else is weird? You know who else can't hear you? Your favorite sports team when you're yelling at your LED TV. The Bears cannot hear you, okay? The Florida Gators cannot hear you. Like, none of them can. You know where you really get excited? When you start yelling at actors and actresses to not go down hallways and run into the woods because they might die. They can't hear you. That's weird, okay? Like, you know what else is weird is when you ever go shopping and you're just looking through some stuff. You're like, man, I really like that. And you look at the price tag and you see how much it is. You're like, man, I'm not paying that much money for that. But you got to act like you can afford it. So you look at the price tag, you go, I'm just going to decide not to do that today, but I'm going to walk around this section and act like I can afford everything in it. That's weird. Hey, let's just do this for a second, okay? Like, I know that now that we all are on the same weird page, look at your neighbor on the right and say, I'm weird. You can do it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Look at your other neighbor and say, I'm weird too, okay? Like we're all here. We're in this thing together. Now, here's another thing that's weird. Following Jesus will make you say and do some pretty weird stuff. Like if you're a Jesus follower, and maybe you're not today, but for those of us that are, there are some things that Jesus asks us to do that's like it's a little weird. Like he'd be like, hey, why don't you go ahead and love your enemies. Who does that? Us? It's a little weird, but it might be a good thing for us. I mean, who would like give away their money and give away their possessions for the greater good? Who does that? It's a little weird, but it's better. I mean, like, have you ever heard somebody go, oh, well, I'm not going to have sex till I get married? You're not? That's weird. But is it better? I mean, there are lots of things like Jesus go, man, you know what? You should forgive your neighbor 70 times 7, 490 times if they do it. What? That's weird. Turn the other cheek. Who's going to turn? You punch me in the face. You think I'm going to turn the other cheek? That's weird, but it might be better. Today, I want to talk to you about the people you're doing life with and who you surround yourself with. And spoiler alert, what I'm going to tell you today is a little weird. But if applied, it has the potential to drastically change your life. Because this is one of the most important areas of our life. The people we choose to surround ourselves with have the ability to destroy your life or add an incredible amount of value to it. So there's 4 things. 4 things to start off this weird series. This is some weird stuff, and I know this isn't normal, but here's what I'm convinced of. Normal isn't working. It's not. Like, I know some cool people that hang out with cool people, but I'm not sure that their life's getting any better. They're just cool in pain together. I'm not sure that the normal way that we hang out, the normal way that we do life in groups is working, because if you think about it, how do you normally become friends with somebody? Common interests, hobbies. We like the same sports team. Hey, come to my house for barbecue. We got the day off tomorrow. Okay, it's going to be a cool deal. Like, let's just hang. But here's what I want to encourage you to do today. And everything that I say is you're not just surrounding yourself with these types of people, because that's easy to say. But we're also going to become these people. Because remember, you're in the group. So when you talk about the group, you are also talking about you. Okay? So today I want you to surround yourself with people who are, and become a person who is, number 1, if you're taking notes, intentional. Intentional. Like, you are trying to do something, okay? I promise you, nobody under the sound of my voice will become a good friend on accident. You will have to be intentional. Hey, here's the deal. Nobody achieves greatness on accident. Nobody. Nobody says, oops, I'm rich. That never happens. So LeBron James is one of the greatest athletes in history. He spends $1.2 million a year on his body. Some people say he has got God-given talent and athleticism and $1.2 million to help to be great on purpose. If you want to have a great group of friends, you are going to have to be intentional. And here's what happens when we're not intentional. All of us have had at least one conversation at one time or another where we're sitting with a friend and we say these words, I didn't even know that. And we fill in the blank. You might even say, no, you never told me that. No, I didn't even know that you were having marriage problems. You never told me that you were having money problems and that you were 1 month away from bankruptcy. You never told me. I never knew. Like, I'll never forget, I was on the phone with a friend, and I was trying to help him salvage his marriage. And I mean, they were weeks away from divorce, and we're just talking back and forth. And I'm just going, man, what was it, man? And when we get to what started, it was something really small. And I'm just like, how did this snowball? And we were on the phone for about 3 hours. And this is what he said to me. He said, Ryan, where were you 2 years ago? Where were you 2 years ago? And some of us are going, I didn't even know that. You never told me that. But if we're honest, you never asked. Because we were just hanging out. We were just being cool. We were just talking about the weather. We were just talking about football. We were just talking about work. We weren't really having any real conversations about anything, so we actually don't even know who people really are. So while being intentional, it might be weird for you to go to work and ask a person, you're sitting there talking about sales, you're talking about the next move the company's gonna make, and for you to pause the conversation and say, hey, how's your marriage? Like, man, it's weird. Yeah, but it's better than you not knowing at all. And then one day walks in and says, hey man, my wife sent me some papers that aren't so good. And you're gonna go, you never, because you never asked. You wanna be a person and you wanna be in a group where people are intentional with one another and they're asking the right questions. The second thing that I think we should be, and the second thing that I think we should have in a life group is that we are beneficial. Beneficial. Here, Paul wrote a letter to the church of Corinth, and here is an excerpt from one of his passages. It says, you say, I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. You say, I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. Don't be concerned for your own good, but for the good of others. In other words, Paul, when he's writing this letter to the church of Corinth, he's pointing people to a place where he's going, okay, let's not talk about what you can do and what you can't do, who you can hang out with and who you can't hang out with. He's going, why don't we ask some better questions? Is this for the good of others? In other words, I want you to ask this question. Why don't you take inventory of the people that are in your world, okay, the people that you do life with the most, and ask yourself this question. Are they good for me? Are they good for me? And another question that maybe it forces us to go a little bit deeper. Am I good for them? I mean, on some level, you're going to go, man, I got to stay away from these bad influences. How do you know you aren't one yourself? I mean, you could be going, man, dude, let me invite my buddy out, man. We're going to have some fun. You're single. He's married. I don't know if that's a great place for him to go. It might be an okay place for you to go, but we're not talking about if you can or can't. We're going to ask you the question, is it good for you? In other words, you want to start asking yourself this question of every relationship you have. Is our relationship beneficial? Am I adding value to them, or are they adding value to me? You want to be a person that you say, hey, if I'm in their life, man, I add tremendous value to their hopes and their dreams in light of who they want to become. And if you don't catch anything that I say, this is what I want you to see. I want you to write this down because this is extremely important. And it's this. There are divine connections and divine appointments. In other words, I pray that each and every person under the sound of my voice would experience this at some point in their life. That you would be within a group of people where you feel like this is divine. That you would be at a restaurant someday and a complete stranger would walk up to you and say, I don't know why I'm doing this, but God told me to tell you. And you would go, this is just divine. There is no other way to explain it. I fully believe in divine connections. I fully believe in divine appointments. But just so you know, there are divine connections and divine appointments. There are also divine disconnections and divine disappointments. Because some people are going, I can't believe he broke up with me. I'm going, praise God Almighty. Jesus, this is the best thing that's ever happened to you in your entire life. It broke my heart. Great, now we can move on and now things can. You're going, man, I cannot believe I lost my job. The devil. What if that wasn't the devil? What if that was God? You're like, what? Lose my job? What if God wanted to get you in a position so that you could do what you're called to do instead of what you think you have to do? Some of these things that we're so angry at God with, you should be so grateful for. I know that's weird, but it's better. Because some of us have been worshiping our job for way too long. So sometimes God will destroy an idol so that you can surrender what you should have been surrendering all along. I fully believe in divine disconnections and divine disappointments. Maybe this morning, maybe this weekend, you take your biggest disappointment to God and go, maybe I shouldn't be mad at you. Lord, is this you? You might go, man, I had this fallout with this friend, man, and I don't know if I'm ever going to talk to them again. That might be good for them and good for you. Maybe you need to just allow some forgiveness to go there. Maybe it's just time for you to go your separate ways, because some people, it's just a toxic relationship over and over and over again. I was sitting with a friend the other day. He's been going back and forth with this girl for over a year and a half. I said, hey, man, you want to marry her? Nah. Nope. You don't? Nah, I just want to be her friend. Oh, you want to be her friend? Can I borrow your phone? He said, yeah, and he slides it across the table real nervous. I went to her contact. I hit delete. I said, don't ever call her again. He goes, what? What do you mean? I said, because you've already told me how the story ends. Which what you just told me is the story ends with her heartbroken because she wants to marry you. So why don't you stop wasting her time and yours, and you both can move on and have a really great life. Thanks for letting me borrow your phone. You want to be so intentional. You want to be so beneficial. And again, that might seem harsh, but maybe you might need to delete somebody out of your phone too. But here's the third thing that I think we all should be trying to be, and what we should be looking for in a group of people that we are doing life with and surround ourselves with is number three, is we need to be spiritual. Spiritual. And again, I know sometimes when we use the word spiritual, it feels weird, but you can't deny that there are certain activities that you do where you just go, something's not right in my soul. And in that moment, you need a friend that is spiritual. Life is spiritual. There are moments where it's just like, man, we're going to go out, man, we're going to have some fun, man, we're going to do whatever we want with whoever we want, whenever we want. And then the next morning they just wake up and they just go, last night was fun, but something's just not right. And in that moment, you're going to want somebody that helps bring you back to the place where you belong. You're going to want some people that surround you that don't judge you, but that can help you get closer to Jesus. Luke, he writes his narrative of Jesus in the New Testament, and he says this. It says, one of those days, as he was teaching, Pharisees and teachers of the law were sitting there who had come from every village of Galilee and Judea from Jerusalem. And the power of the Lord was with him to heal. And behold, some men were bringing on a bed a man who was paralyzed. And they were seeking to bring him in and lay him before Jesus. But finding no way to bring him in because of the crowd, they went up on the roof and let him down with his bed through the tiles into the midst before Jesus. And when he saw their faith, he said, man, your sins are forgiven. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I know about the people that you are doing life with. Here's what I know about the person that's sitting on your right and sitting on your left. They're fighting a battle you know nothing about. A hard one, a tough one. And I believe that they could use a little bit of your faith. And here's the other thing that I recognize, and the reason I love this story is there was a crowd that was keeping this man from getting to Jesus. And when I sit down and do coffee with people and talk to them about what's going on in their life, they all have a crowd in their head. There's this little peanut gallery that just kind of proverbially exists in the back of our minds that are telling us things, what we can and can't do, and what people are going to think about it if we do it. And then it's just, and it's a little weird, but it's a little true. Yeah. And there is this crowd, and here's what I have made my mission as a friend is to go, I want to help them get above the crowd. And I started asking them a question, who told you that? Because then they have to address the peanut gallery that doesn't exist, because that's weird, right? Be like, well, these people that were talking, who said that? You'd be like, well, actually, no one has said that. My point exactly. You want to be a friend that is spiritual, that helps them get above the crowd and gets them to Jesus however you can. Let me ask you this question today. Is there anybody in your life right now who needs to borrow your faith? Who needs to borrow your faith? Because the Bible says that Jesus saw their faith and he did something about it. Is there somebody in your world right now that, man, they just can't get to Jesus right now? There's a crowd, and it might be a real one. They just got so much stuff going on in their life. But man, if they could just get around you just for a little bit, man, their faith would be stronger. You know what I know about every Christian parent and grandparent? They are praying a prayer for their kids and their grandparents that goes like this: Lord, give them a good friend, a faith friend, a spiritual friend, somebody that loves you, somebody that serves you, because they know how one friend can destroy a life. Now, we just celebrated my wife's 30th birthday party. We threw this big party in Dallas, and we were having a good time. And all these people were giving speeches, and her best friend got up and gave a speech. With tears in her eyes, she says, Amanda, my mom prayed that I would have a friend that stabilized my faith, that helped me understand God better. And you're that friend. You're the person. And here's what I would encourage us to do, City First. Be the answer to that prayer. Be that friend. Be the person that grandparents and moms and dads have been praying for decades. As you step up and say, I have decided I'm going to be that friend. I've decided that regardless of what church I belong to, regardless of how I feel about Christianity, regardless of how I feel about what this person did and that person did, I've decided that there's nothing I can do about what they do, but there's a whole lot that I can do about who I am, and I've decided I want to be that friend. The fourth thing that I think we should look for, the fourth thing that I think that we all should become, and it's difficult, is safe. It's safe. And the reason that this is important is because King Solomon said this in Proverbs 17. He says, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Ladies and gentlemen, you were born to go through something with somebody. And somebody was born to go through something with you. It's why you're here. So when you're not in community, when you're not in the life group, when you're not doing what you were born to do. And here's what I know, and this is just math, ladies and gentlemen. This is just statistics. There is somebody watching, listening to this message under the sound of my voice that is struggling with same-sex attraction and does not know what to do or who to talk to about it. There is a couple here whose marriage is an absolute mess, and they've yet to tell anybody out of guilt and shame and embarrassment. There's somebody here who has made so many poor financial decisions that their car has been repossessed, they're about to lose their house, they're about to file bankruptcy, and they are just trying to keep up appearances. And you know what they need? They need a safe place. They need a group of people where they could go and just, and it'd be safe. And here's what I've just learned about people just being in a people business for a long time. And it's this: people in your world going through adversity, they don't need you to be smart. They need you to be safe. A lot of us feel like we got to be everybody's counselor. Like we got to walk around like we're the Avengers. We're going to save the world and we're going to do this deal. But unless you are a professional counselor, you are not a counselor. So just breathe a little bit and not feel the need that when someone is in pain that you have to fix their pain. Sometimes you just need to sit with someone in their pain. I had a friend who works at a large church, and the only reason I tell you that they work at a large church is because people that work at large churches have the most to lose, and they feel the biggest pressure to keep a smile on their face because they have people looking at them all the time, and so they want to make sure that their life is always in this cookie cut order, and like things are always just on the up and up, and they don't have a whole lot of places where they can go where things are safe. Like, I found that Christians that say that they don't cuss got at least 2 friends that they cuss with, and then they don't, like, they just keep that on the low, and then they be like, oh no, I don't cuss. And I don't have those 2 friends, but I'm sure all of you do, and so that's cool. I don't feel very safe right now. A friend works at a large church. We were going back and forth, and I was speaking somewhere, and just going in and out of sessions, and finally got a hold of them and said, hey. They said, finally? I said, what's going on? And they immediately burst into tears. And they said, Ryan, I'm not okay. I was on a date with my spouse last night, and guess what? We are not okay. And I have been going through my phone all morning, searching for one friend that would be willing to listen to God for me. Tag, you're it. City First. I got news for you this weekend. Tag, you're it. You're the person. Because you might be the only person they have to go through adversity with. Tag, you're it. You go, well, no. What they need to do is they need to go sit down with Jer. They need to go sit down. Tag, you're it. You already work with them. You already play basketball with them. You already are in school with them. You're already in class with them. Tag, you're it. And you don't have to be smart, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to know a bunch of Bible verses, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes all you have to do is be safe. Sometimes they just want to ask a question. Sometimes they just want to bounce an idea off of somebody. And we all want to have a person like this, but I have to encourage you, be somebody like this. Because here's what I know. We can't do a whole lot about creating a safe place for everybody. In other words, I can't be a greeter at every single door in this building right now. Like somebody got a bad greeter today. I don't know who, and I don't know how. And that's gonna kind of shape their view of church. And all this person, you know, they were coughing in their hands and they tried to shake my hands. So they have hand sanitizers at the church. I mean, you got all types of things that happen. There's not a whole lot that you or I can do about the whole place to solve societal issues. We want the church to solve sexual issues, race issues, and political issues. This is like, man, if we could just solve it all, it's like, we can't do a whole lot about that. We can't be a safe, like there's not a whole lot you can do about being a safe place for everybody, but we can be a safe person for somebody. That's what you can do that I can. That's what you can do that we all can, is you can be a safe person for that person at your job, in your neighborhood. Can you imagine if we all did this? Can you imagine if we all became this? Can you imagine if we all became people that just said, you know what? I want to be the type of friend. I want to be in people's lives, and I want to start being intentional. I'm not just going to be intentional. I want our relationship to be beneficial, and I'm not going to be afraid to be spiritual. And you know what? When it's time for them to tell me something that they've never told anybody in their life, I pray to God that they know that I am safe. Father, I thank you so much for this amazing church. God, I pray that you would help us to be intentional. God, I pray that you would help us to have relationships that are beneficial. God, I pray that we wouldn't be afraid to be spiritual, and that when people find themselves in a dark place, they would know that we are safe people. God, would you help us become the friend, the coworker, that grandparents and parents have been praying for decades. That we would be a person that stabilizes a person's faith. For people that have walked away from you, Lord, I pray that we would give them reasons to come back because they see a little bit of you in us. And Lord, even when it's a little bit weird, help us to keep going because perhaps our world is in desperate need for something different, even if that means it's a little bit weird. In Jesus' name I pray. Everybody said, amen.